Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. Look, let me get right into this. You know what I'm saying? Bob has been up for parole multiple times and got turned down every time now. Again, like I said, his case happened so far back in the day. It wasn't no social media. It wasn't no, you know what I'm saying, all of this wall-to-wall coverage of the issue and all this. It wasn't nothing like that, right? Nothing like that at all. I didn't even know that Bob was a serial killer. He got bodies all over. Period. And the people that were telling me these stories about him, these stories are coming from Bob. Bob lying to everybody. Talking about his family was fighting for him to get out. His family got into it. Well, not got into it, but had words with the people that, you know what I'm saying, the victim's family and all this and that. Listen, ain't none of that true. Ain't none of that true. It wasn't nobody down there. Listen to me, y'all. It wasn't nobody down there representing Bob. All was down there was the victim's family members. Everything that had been spread on the compound about he had supporters was a lie. That's all we got to go about. You feel me? And I asked my COS, I said, how you know that? He said he had talked to one of the officers. He said, man, we know Bob does that every time. He spreads these lies like he's really got a chance of getting out. So I asked myself, I said, well, what about these recommendations that everybody's supposed to write for him? He said, yeah, they do write them. They do write them, but they know he's not getting out. And the parole board knows that they're only writing them to keep him at bay. Keep giving him this hope, right? Because he's never getting out. And then I got to thinking on some level, that's compassion, right? They're holding him accountable. They're going to make sure that the victims get their justice by Bob never seeing the light of day ever again. But at the same time, they're not treating him like in the worst way that you would think. You would think that somebody like that, they would mistreat. You know, if anybody that some people would say would deserve it is a serial killer, right? But he wasn't technically a serial killer. They didn't really get him on all of those cases. They suspected him. And the reason they thought that it was him because the MO was similar. They found some DNA, some bone fragments in this one hog pen, but they wasn't able to get it in all of them. They weren't able to get it in all of them. So, but the MO was the same. The MO was the same. So they suspected him of being a serial killer, but they never had convicted him of. So they loaded him up on the one that they could give him, and they gonna make sure that he don't walk out of here. He's a threat. He's a threat to everybody. And I got to thinking about that, how that applies to some of the people in here that may or may not have as much time as Bob. How some of them create these scenarios like they got people that's going to help them. They create these scenarios like they smart, they do these different types of things and all this and that, but you don't ever see the effort. It's a dude in here that always gets on the phone. Ain't nobody on the other end of the phone. You know, after a while, after you pick up the phone, this is before they gave us our tablets. It's after a while, after you got the phone receiver in your hand, you'll hear the thing going, dun, dun, dun. It's like that. And every time it starts to do that, he'll look around without moving his head. He moves his eyeball. Then he'll reach up and he'll hit the thing that hangs it up, right? While he still got the receiver in his hands. And then he'll dial the number again and again and again. And then if you're not paying attention, and ain't nobody close to him or ain't nobody on the phones around him, he'll start talking. Ain't nobody on the phone. Ain't nobody on the phone. Now everybody in the pod knows that. Everybody in the building know he on that stomach. But he'll get off of that phone and he'll come and tell you that he just talked to his daughter or he talked to his son or somebody in his family, and they're going to come and visit him You know what I'm saying? After 20 years of not getting a visit, he said, they're going to finally come to see me. I'm so happy. I got to get my clothes pressed. I got to get my shirt on. I got to do all of these different types of things. He'll go to the barbershop, get a haircut. He'll do all, and everybody indulges that. Everybody indulges that because they know that his mind is playing tricks on him. His mind is playing tricks on him. He gone. And instead of busting that bubble and making him go all the way over the cliff, people indulge him because they know this is not going to change for him. What benefit is it to say, man, stay off the phone, ain't nobody on their phone? What benefit is that to anybody other than being mean, right? What benefit is that? And that's the same scenario that is playing out with Bob. What is the benefit? This man working hard every day in the penitentiary, doing all kind of work for them. He tell them everything that's going on, but ain't nobody mad at him because, you know, Bob gonna do what Bob do. Some people do get a pass on that. But he working hard, he doing this and this. So when he pull up on the warden, when he pull up on the captain, when he pull up on the council and say, well, y'all give me a recommendation for parole, they say, sure, Bob. Because they know the outcome. They know what's going to happen. The parole board people, they'll fake the feel and look at them like it's real and all this, but they already know this stuff is going in the trash. Ain't nobody. Jesus Christ got to come down and say, listen, let him go before that happens. And his mind is gone. See, now after my COS was telling me all this, I'm starting to think, well, maybe he got dementia or something. You know, Alzheimer's. But it's not that. He's in and out. And you don't know when he's in, you don't know who he is. He don't even know who he is. What personality is emerging and what's not. And you looking at him like, wait, what you getting mad for, Bob? We were just talking. And then I got to thinking about how scary that must have been for his victims. Because whatever he did and whatever he did it in, but when he had his hands on them, who were they talking to? Did he really have an issue with them? Did he really know them? Or did he make that up in his mind? What had happened to him in his life that made him that way? Who knows? Who knows? Right? So it becomes understandable why they don't want to let him out, because they don't know what he might do at any time. And he's thriving in this environment. He's thriving. So now when I see other people going up for parole, right, and their circumstances are, you know what I'm saying, as far as anybody knows, you really don't know all the details. I started to look through a different lens and say, okay, there's something about this that I don't know. It's something about this that most people don't know, right? There's something going on with this. So when you got a family member that goes up for parole, right, you might want to look a little deeper. Most of the time, the stuff that you see on the surface, because in today's time, everybody know what's going on, right? But it might be something else going on with a lot of these individuals that nobody really knows about, but the board does, right? They know. Or somebody that's said something to the board members, you know, a counselor or whatever, because they get all kind of reports on you when you're getting ready to go up. They got all kind of information about you. And they're trying to break this down and analyze it and measure it against, is this person going to be a threat or not to the public? We don't know. Now, some of the stuff they use to judge, I think is petty. I think it's petty. But that's the system we have. So when I see situations like Bob's, I don't know what I think I know. Now I see it differently. So when you got somebody going up for parole, dig deep. Find out what's really going on with your loved one before you get to tripping. Because some of these guys in here, this penitentiary drives people insane. And ain't nobody coming to save you. Remember that. Because if you throwing them rocks to try to get in here, you might end up being a celly with one of them. You might end up working out with them. You might end up eating next to them. You might end up being that person. You don't want to be in here, y'all. You don't get to pick and choose who you hang around in the penitentiary. To the extent that, where you live and all this and that. People in here, man, that will make the hairs stand up on your neck. Remember that. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.